I told you at the beginning of my talk that we're now about 8 billion, something like this. The only thing that we have such a massive explosion of population could only happen when we have hierarchies that are in order, that everybody fits into the hierarchy, everything is planned. Otherwise, it could not work. Never ever. And you know what's coming? I'm going to show you a little bit deeper later on. We're moving to the cross of the sleeping phoenix and the cross of penetration.
What did you say?
Cross of the sleeping phoenix and cross of penetration. Now, there's one thing that Ra said about this cross of the sleeping phoenix. It said, you know, this is not the real name of the cross. It's only the name until 2027. And after 2027, it will get a new name. And then we were asking him, and what is the name? And he said, you're going to know when it's 2027. Is that enough? Ra's not here anymore. But maybe we have really any clue about it. But everything that is said here, like the 3740, that's the bargains that we're going to have. Everything is quite collective. So we have the global village, and everybody's cared for, and we have all these bargains. That's nice, isn't it? When I come home, I know that my car is still at the car park. When I'm coming home, I know that I can buy some bread the next day or get some vegetables the next day. But guess what? When we're changing. We're changing into a cross that is highly individual. That means everybody breaks down. Nothing's going to work the way how it's going to work. That's just a nice teaser for the rest of the lecture. Okay, let's have a look at this area of the cross of planning. When we see the lock and the key mechanisms, the very first indicator how strong an area can be is when we see a definition. The moment when we're going to see a definition, it sets in the way the main thing. And here, what it's going to set here is the 4037. So this is a tribal channel. This is the channel of the community. This is the channel of the bargain. And it's a projected ego channel. So when we look at the ego, it has something to do with capacity. It has something to do with work. And here, you keep the bargain. So just imagine when we just talk about bargains. You know, we have these generational bargains. My parents care for me, and when my parents are old, I care for my parents. These generational bargains are there forever. It's not really forever, but it's since 1615. And when we now see the system at a higher level in states, for instance, is that you get retirement money. That's another bargain. When we look at how everything is organized, what we're going to see is education is organized. You know, in Austria, our first official education was in that area after 1615. It was Joseph II. At the same time, we got regulated and public healthcare. It's also the bargain here. So we have levels over levels over levels of bargains. And you know the North Self relies on the bargains and never question the bargains. And on the other hand, when we look at the way now, the way this is the gate 25, the way is the family, the way is the community. And when we look here at the temple, here we have the workers' party. And there's a lot of loyalty involved. Moreover, what we're going to see the systematically, because this is a gate of denial. And here this is the bridge of the mystical way. But here we get the denial of God as well. And we see that because at that time, since 1615, science became more and more important. And the church and religions got less and less important. When we now look at the pattern and the nature, so what was developed now for about 300 years is skills. We're trained to be skillful. And moreover, we are identified with the plan, because this is the gate of the identification. So the pattern is be identified with the skills. And the 16 has also something to do with logic, repeating and repeating until the skills are perfected. When we look at the nature, what's the behavior? The behavior is the details. So it means there is this focus on the work of the details. And we see how detailed we've got, especially now, in the last about 60 years. Now these are the love gates. When we're going to look at the Sphinx gates, when we look at the leader, and how we get manipulated to be in that hierarchy is we get manipulated by details. So people are getting all kinds of details, communicating all kinds of details, but also with the 62nd gate, the Maya is growing, because this is the very gate because the cross of the Maya has its names. So really invent all kinds of names in order to manipulate the masses. What are the creative forces? The creative forces is here the gate of creation. And it means keep continuity. But also it is a gate of fear. And it means there's always this deep fear of failure here. Can we really make it? Can we really organize humanity? And also, the 32nd gate is about the personal manager. It's really looking who has the resources. And this is what humanity was doing for a very long time, really being very, very creative with the resources in order to climb up the ladder of the food chain. On the other hand, when we look at the plan, and the plan is to grow. But also, what we don't really recognize is the plan is something has to end. And what needs to be ended is that Homo sapiens intransitus is not or will not be the most important species on the planet until 2027. Yes, but after we're out of the loop. So in one way, we're growing until the mutation happens, and at the other hand, we're realizing that's the end of it. That's the end story. And the last one, what's the witness? This is the inner truth. The secret lies in the inner truth. So, and this is the only individual gate that we're going to have in that kind of area. So when we look in with all these 8 key gates, we're going to see these are tribal gates and these are collective gates. Yeah, it's about the community, and it's about the collective. It's about sharing, and it's about support. And no individuality is allowed. Therefore, we were so successful in homogenizing humanity. Therefore, we were so successful really keeping the whole mob into the non-self. And now, the keys are changing. We all rely on this. We all have the feeling it will keep on keeping on and it will stay forever. But there's one thing that we're going to recognize already. Things are breaking down. We see it in the human design system. We see it in states. Have you heard about Austria? What happened to Austria? It just collapsed like this. There was one video presented. And you know, the whole legislation, everything broke down. And it was easy. So there will be many, many things that we already see what will, in a way, break down. And sometimes we get a sense of the more we know about human design, the more things are going to break down. And the life will be very, very different. I don't go into all the details, but what I'm going to show you is, as the precession of equinox goes clockwise, we always see that when we enter into a new area, it always starts with 6 line. And the end of it is always the first line. So, since 1961, we're going to see that everything in a way was hurrying up, everything was getting more detailed, there was more and more research. And when I was studying molecular genetics, there were about 5 or 10 so-called cancer genes. I don't know how many hundreds we have now. So we see this is a really hurrying up process. And this is the time where I mentioned, if we will find a solution how to reproduce ourselves, this will be the area. And what we had, we already have gene-manipulated humans, we have cloned mammals. All the technique is already there. So this is also coming to an end, because there was this so-called age of innovation. It was by the discovery of Pluto, that was in 1930. And the demotion of Pluto was in 2006. And since 2006, we don't have any innovation anymore. We're just working out the details, but that's it. So in one way, I think this is the most interesting time that we have. At the other hand, I think it's the most scary that we have. Because we're going to see that the keys are changing. And there was a wonderful statement of Ra. He always said, you know, human design is always there for the children. And I fully grasped it when he was talking about when the keys were changing. So whoever is in human design education, whoever is a teacher right now, is an analyst, you are here for the adults until 2027. Then the adults don't have time to learn human design anymore. And the service that we're going to offer is what Ra always said. We're going to offer the service for the children. And more to it. When the keys are changing, the major theme of the community, the 4037, is breaking down. And that means no support, no hierarchies, nothing that you can rely on. Most of humanity is relying on outer authorities. It's gone. And the major theme of the next keys is the 2034, and that's integration, and it means busy, staying alive. Can you imagine a city like, I was in Taipei in April. It's amazing how many people are there. Can you imagine a city like Taipei where you don't get breakfast every morning? A city like Taipei where nobody's taking care of your waste. Nobody cares if you're sick, whether you get serviced or not. Can you imagine this kind of city? It's going to be that. And you know, as we all are killer monkeys, welcome to another war. I'm not kidding here, honestly. It will not be, of course, from one second to the next. Because when the keys are changing, we as we are born prior to 2027, we have the frequency of the cross of planning and the cross of the Maya Inna. So this, we plan in order that the Maya is going to grow, will stay until the last one that was born prior to 2027 is dead. And then we're going to say it's the real frequency of the keys and the locks. And also when we are going to look here, how many things are changing. I mean, here we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 individual gates. And that means human design, whoever met human design prior to 2027 knows how to make correct decisions and doesn't need a support system anymore. And Rasek one time, when he was introducing PHS, he said, I'm going to introduce you to PHS because you need to take care of your health because nobody else is going to do it. Because when hospitals are not working, when you don't have any support mechanisms, when you don't have the big planning hierarchy, you're alone. But there's one thing that will change also. So now we have this massive explosion of population. But what is going to happen is that the population is going to shrink. Humans will be less and less fertile. And we're going to see it already. We're going to see it now by so many women that don't get pregnant anymore. And then you have all the in vitro fertilizations and the fertility of the male sperms are going down. You know, the sperm counts are getting less and less. So we're going to see a lot of indicators already that whenever we're going to be in our very individual age, that we don't have the problem anymore with the huge populations, because the population will shrink anyway. Now, when we're going to look at the cross of the sleeping phoenix, we can only, in a way, see it from the perspective of the cross of planning and the cross of the Maya, because we don't know any other frequency for generations and generations. And we might not get to see the full background frequency because we're still carrying the old frequency. But when we look here at the way is the 55. It's the individual spirit. It's not about support anymore. And people who will enter into that kind of area will have totally different ways how to look at this world. One will say the glass is half full. It says, yeah, we are individuals, super. These are those people that carry a lot of individual definitions. and have a lot of the, what we call the keys of that area. Others are going to see that the glass is half empty, especially when you have a cross of planning and when you have a cross of the Maya. So it will be also, when I speculate about it, those that are familiar with human design, they think, well, it will be a little bit difficult, but it's okay. But for the not self, that has nothing to rely on because the outer authorities are gone, it could be a catastrophe. And then, when we look here at the temple is the 59. The 59 is the gate of sexuality. First of all, we're going to get this fertility problem. The so-called rave children that come little by little after 2027, they're infertile. And humans, by the way, will get more and more infertile as well. And now is the time, because we have a first line area, to research all kinds of possibilities to reproduce raves and humans. And there was a wonderful statement Ra said to all the 59 sixes, and that was beginning of the 2000s, said, you 59 sixes, if you don't have a job after 2027, sell your aura. Because you're going to get a lot of money because you have a fertile aura. It doesn't matter whether you have children yourself or not. I think the very aura is going to do the job. So that means, of course, with the 59s, the way how we bond, because this is a roll gate, the way how we're going to bond will be very different. And we already see that. You know, we have these homosexual bonds. That was a no-go 60 years ago. Yeah, you were almost killed. No, it's okay. Everybody says, well, why not marry a woman? The same how the body, because if we are going to talk about the temple, how the body will change. When you look at the fashion industry right now, sometimes I wonder, is this male or female? Because, you know, the sex in a way won't matter that much anymore. So the bonding strategies will be different. Even in humans will be different. When we look at the pattern and nature, it's a 2034. In 2034, this is the channel of charisma. This is the channel to be very busy. And it's in a way to express your power. And it means everybody will be very busy because things have broken down, there are no hierarchies anymore, there are no deals whatsoever, whether the generational deal or whether it's a global deal, everything will break down. And you have to be very busy in order to stay alive. And that was one of the reasons why I bought a big house and a big garden. I can grow my vegetables after 2027. I bought this supermarket. Moreover, it's not only that we have the 34 and the 20, but this is a channel and this is the major theme of that area. We also have the 57, and what the 57 is all about, yes, it's the big game of intuition, but it is the fear of tomorrow. So we will get all kinds of creative energy, how to going to deal with the fear of tomorrow and how we're going to, survive tomorrow. When we look at the plan is being shocked. This is the arousal. But you know, when we look at the gate itself, it says also something. It doesn't matter how much chaos it is, you can deal with it. That's the gate. So the plan is, yes, there will be chaos, yes, there will be shocks, but if you live who you are, you can deal with it. And then, when we look at these two, the leader, and basically nobody will lead us at that time because it's such an individual age. But here we have the 53, and something new is starting. Rave children are coming. Humans are out of the loop, and the rave children will find their way. And here the witness. There's a lot of pressure going on. And this is the gate of ambition. And it's not about humans being ambitious, it's about raves being ambitious. Because it's not our age anymore. We're not part of the major evolutionary process. It's the raves that will be part of the future. I don't know how it's going to work. Because what Ra said about raves, they can't survive alone, they can only survive in pentas. They have a bad eyesight, have a straight skin, can't digest any mammalian or any source of animals anymore. They don't talk. I don't know how it's going to work, but we're going to see. By the way, there's one thing that Ra predicted when mutation is coming. We had the mutation 1781, and there was the change of the inner temperature. We all got warmer. And now we have the global warming. We see it outside. 32 degrees. We can't stop it. Everybody who is going to tell you have to reduce this problem of intoxication or pollution. It doesn't. We're warming up, and the prediction of Ra is that at the poles it gets 12 degrees warmer. So what it also means is that some of the states won't exist anymore. Massive amounts of land vaporized under the sea. And of course, when we see here we have this infertility here, or this less fertile industry, it's necessary. But on the other hand, when everything's warming up, we're going to, or especially in Europe, we need to deal with diseases that we normally deal in Africa, like malaria, dengue, yellow fever, because we're getting so hot. So of course, as I'm at third line, I can be so pessimistic. And I can tell you stories where sometimes when I teach this in German, people really say, I can't come to your class anymore because you shocked me so deeply. I can't handle this anymore. What I see personally is that for the not self and for people who are deeply rely on the other, deeply rely on the bargain, it will be a difficult time for both of us. That's my personal opinion. And then, just to top everything, we are now in the first line age. And in 2027, we're going to enter into the sixth line age. So that means no studies, no investigations. Yeah? Let's hope that we have our computers then. Yeah? And maybe we don't have any online teachings anymore. I don't know. But this is something, what I would, in a way, close off this lecture is. Sometimes I have people that I'm doing analysis where they say, I always have the feeling, this is not my home yet, and this is not my area yet. And most of them are sixth-line people. So if you have a sixth line, welcome to 2027. You're going to enjoy that time. If your first line being, it might get a little bit irritating. Okay. That was a very, very brief flying over the keys are changing so that you just get a little bit of an insight and a little bit of a feeling what might come and what might change. So I wish you that you could sleep this night. Okay. a really serious topic for medical doctors to see this change with the conscious pain topic.
Yes, anybody has a question? Ron.
Hi. I love this. And I'm somewhat new to it. I think every day's new day anyway, so it's okay. Little thing that now, my question is, I'm a manifestor, so it's not really a question, it's more informative.
Yeah.
I believe that there are more people that know about this sort of stuff that came before him and that are conscious of this change. I'm very abstract in this, and all I hear, I feel, and I could be wrong, very far. All I hear is AI. AI.
Artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel it's part of our process to evolve into this energetic forming, and humanity will probably move towards that field. What's going to be is going to be. One thing that I find difficult in my coming into human design and getting information that I get. Now, I'm not really sure how this goes, and I look forward to people helping me out a little bit, looking at my design and the picture. Who Ra is and who I am, it's almost like a mirror image, I feel. Everything that I hear, but a lot that I hear in human design seems to come in a very threatening sort of way, in a very negative way. And my strong belief, and with other experiences that I've had beyond design, in matter and spiritual. Everyone seems to be picking a side. I've been told also by some analysts that I'm the poster child of individualization, which is why I feel I'm being drawn into this and help maybe the process in some manner. Everyone picks a side, but the actual truth is, it's it together. Like the yin and the yang. Everyone sees the yin and the yang, but what they don't see is the whole picture. So I'd just like to put a little bit of peace to everybody. And I look forward to what has to happen.
And you have to see, when you look at Ra's design, you know what his personality design game is? 51. He loves to shock people. And you know what he did? He did a wonderful job. He was shocking people and initiated them into human design. And the harder the shock was, the more people were impressed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
we never learn anything by the wonderful times. We only learn by the hard times. And that is the golden times. So, there's a lot of goodness in crap.
this is something that I always, when I'm teaching human design, when I'm giving readings, when I'm working with people, I always mention this was brought by Manifesto that has the 51st gate. And yes, there will be some shocks, but we can see it differently as well. As I said, what is my personal perspective is that we will be fine. Yeah. And we had a hard time with the not-self have. And I guess he was going to the image of the not-self.
All right. I think we will just, if somebody doesn't really object to it, I think we will stop now. Many had a long journey today. There is a beach party happening. I think we will start a bit slow today or not. You can do what you want, but we actually have a wine to offer. It's 50 lei a bottle, or what is it? 10 euros? 50 lei, yes. It's homemade wine from Theodore's father. It's professionally made, but it's all totally organic and no additives and stuff. So if you like that, you can just talk to Theodora. And I think we will, from half an hour from now, an hour from now, it's starting to get warm down on the beach. Try to make a fire. There is alcohol to be served there. Also some soda, some chips. You know, it's a beach bar, so he's gonna make some cocktail for us. And yes, for the night owls, we can run quite late, so we can see. Tomorrow we will start again at 10 o'clock with the program here, which will be one day again. And we have gathering of generators.